welcome to the first official episode of Context Needed. So this is the first official episode. The last one was a pilot, which was very impromptu and very fun. With me today we have Ollie and Ryan, and I'm Kyle. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
So, how did you guys find the last one?
I thought we did all right. I think I was just a talking picture, but you know, it was all right.
Oh yeah, we actually have Ollie with us this time in video form rather than glowing eyes meme.
No, it's fine. That was actually a real picture. It was just I was just staying really still.
Just very woke.
I've just aged a lot in the past 3 days.
So we decided today we wanted to actually talk about it's probably I wouldn't say it's my favourite game, but it's one of my favourites to play with friends, mainly because you can do some very fun shit, including breaking the Geneva Convention.
Always good.
Yeah, we've been playing Arma 3 a lot, and obviously there's been a lot of rumours recently about Arma 4, so we kind of wanted to talk about the kind of things we want in it, things we don't want in it. So, any of you two want to start with the kind of things you'd like in it or dislike for it?
Actually, it's a simulation. Number one, just want to correct you there.
Yeah,
It's not a game, man.
not a game. It's actually professional software. I'll have you know.
I mean, I could literally be like top SAS material right now.
We're not actually.
I think
we don't actually control like a computer simulation. We're controlling real people.
It's a simulation.
really bad.
With live
Isn't that
ammo.
a film? I'm pretty sure that's a film.
Yeah, there's a Gerard Butler film called Gamer. It's very weird, very stupid,
Oh,
but
cool,
very
yeah,
good at the
I've
same
seen it.
time.
Yeah, basically. Well, okay, being serious for a moment, I think the biggest thing for me is optimization. Just, you know, stable-ish frame rates. Maybe just a more stable game engine, because I think the thing is with Arma 3, it's very CPU heavy, so
It's
you can have a
flaky
great
as well.
graphics card. Yeah,
It
so
just needs optimization, doesn't it? That's
it just run better. Even if it's not as good up to spec of current games, just an improvement over Arma 3 would be terrific.
I don't think it really needs to go. I think for what they've got at the moment, to be honest with graphics and whatnot, I think they've already hit a pretty good mark for. Can you really get any better unless you've gone into VR territory? But even then, if you went to VR territory, you can obviously drop on graphics, and there's already games that do that to an extent. Really, it's not going to be until like they've got some really good VR that they'd probably move to that. And because I don't see any like where you could really update the graphics as such.
I think when you consider its scale as well, like with the physics, huge ass map, and it is pretty damn good looking. Maybe a few, like we've put Blast Core on, and that does make it look so sick.
Yeah.
But like,
I definitely second like the optimization, because that's always been Bohemia's biggest downfall. I mean, we all remember Arma 2. It didn't matter how good your PC was, it would run like ass, even on the lower settings. So I really, really want them to put a focus into the optimization, definitely. But like we're saying about graphics and stuff, like the graphics isn't really a big deal for me. What I would really like for them to do is sort out just the standard AI.
oh
yeah, definitely.
yeah.
I'd working on.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't want to have
graphics
to
are a
mod
big
the AI to make it work, basically.
just
What?
from what you're going off there, like obviously graphics aren't a big thing, but you've still got to have a certain spec of graphics. So I think
There's an expectation at this point. isn't there?
Yeah.
you couldn't just pop it out like Minecraft and be like, there you go,
No, but
simulation.
Yeah. No, what I mean is basically like, I'm not saying as in like I don't care if they bring out a fucking wireframe game. I'm more on about like the game as it is now looks decent to me. If they can make it slightly better fidelity and run better, that's more important to me. I wouldn't want them to make it so, oh yeah, look at the detail in the map, we can have all this crazy detail. It's like, that's good, but does it run at more than 20 frames per second? If it doesn't, I don't care.
Yeah. Well, even you could even just have it like they could release a game. Let's say they released a game that graphically looked, let's say 90% like Arma 3. As long as it ran better and maybe had some better animations, great. That's all I want. Like, because the animations can be a bit rigid. I think the best animations are the ones in like modded weapons and stuff. I remember
about dodgy
we were
animations. It's just like I'm healing you.
No, my favourite is I've been shot.
the salt shaker over you when they're healing you.
It's just that weird kind of crippled dab they do when you shoot people. It's weird.
It's when they
Or they kind of go.
It's when they bend completely 90 degrees at the hip like that when they get shot for a split second.
Yeah. It's funny and it adds to the charm, but like, come on, guys.
You get caught in the terrain, and then your body just goes everywhere.
I definitely. Oh, go ahead, Ollie. Sorry.
I was going to say, I will say, it is an improvement over Arma 2. I don't know if you remember, Carl, when we used to play DayZ, we used to that thing where we'd crouch, lower your weapon, and then look down and walk, and you do this weird crawl.
Like crab walk type thing.
I miss being able to do that, in all honesty.
You look like the Goomba out of Mario.
Honestly, it was just the strangest thing. It was some kind of like grass goblin.
That's what we used to do the whole one where you'd go prone, but look all the way up with your gun, but have your free look looking all the way down, so your body would like literally be a Z with your head poking downwards, and then roll around in the same spot.
It was like a reverse scorpion.
There was some.
Maybe they should improve the animations. Maybe they should just like make them worse.
It's like, oh look, you're the new junior animator. You're going to do all of the animations while we go to the pub. That is how it's going to work.
We go to the pub, we call you up randomly to give you advice. Just flip them upside down a couple of times and do this, and it'll be alright. I swear.
One other thing, actually, talking about animation, because it kind of links to it for me, is I don't want to have to put enhanced movement in it. I want them to have at least some form of mantling in the game. Like, I'm not expecting them to have it the same level as enhanced movement, because enhanced movement's good, but when you've got full military load, I don't think you're just going to be very easily be able to pull yourself up from full height like it's nothing. It is a two-man job to do that.
I don't know. It depends. I think it depends on the height you're at. I mean, because what we've got to remember is these people are trained to do that shit. So there are people who can do that.
No, that's understandable. But even when they're trained to do it in military sense, if you have a full military load with a Bergen as well, so you've got full Bergen load as well, and you are literally full stretched arms up, reaching the ledge, you don't do that yourself. It's not safe. So you'd always have
even just like an encumbering system would work.
Yeah.
Oh.
But the issue is they did the encumbering system in Arma 3.
I don't mean to the point where you're carrying too much. You can now only walk at 2 miles an hour. I just mean like, okay, you're kind of over this weight limit, so you can't do a full-on jump up onto a ledge. You might need a full.
Thing is, though, you say get them to do that, but do we trust them to do that? Seeing as they've not been able to put the... That's what you got to think.
To be fair, like... what is it, the stamina system they had in Arma 3, let's face it, that's the first thing you mod out the game. It's like...
Yeah. Oh, it's always been like that, hasn't it, in all their games? And it's just like, nobody's actually that... Like, I play airsoft, so when you're running about and you stop and then point your gun to shoot, you're not shaking like a shit. And you're like... No, I can't.
No, well, I mean, like, it's fair enough if you're like it's moving a bit, but it's the fact that it's like it is actually like you're going.
Yeah,
it's like
it's ridiculous.
It's like you've literally got like something stuck in your throat whilst you're trying to breathe, and you're just like,
it's completely overbearing. It's like you said, like fair enough. If you've been sprinting for a good solid like 100, 200, 300 meters, and then you go down. Okay, if you are crouched and you are aiming, you are going to have some wobble, but that wobble would be like this kind of movement, not fucking snake all over the place movement.
Someone grabbing your gun and just...
because the only movement you're going to have there is, obviously, you've got it locked into your shoulder, you're locked in. The only movement you're going to have there is the shaking of your hands after the run, and then you're...
Some breathing,
You're not doing... I don't stand like this after running.
Being fair, I mean, it does depend on the gun. Like, short barrel carbine, you should be able to just, into the shoulder, aim. But if you're carrying, say, like an M24,
M107.
Exactly, like, okay, I mean, the ability to shoot that off the shoulder in itself, you're not going to be able to do it. That should be shot from a resting position anyway.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know, let's say you've got a GPMG or something like that. Like, okay, fair enough, you're going to be struggling with that.
What you've got to take into account as well is it's not just the base gun. It's all the shite you're putting on it. So if you're putting attachments on it,
that
you can really make a gun front heavy.
Yeah, that
would
be something I'd
depending
like
on the
to
gun
see.
as well.
So, because well, go on. Sorry, Ryan. Go on.
The thing is, though, it's like it'd be great to see, and I get where you're coming from. Like all these new features are great, but how far is too far? Like before it becomes like obviously it is a simulation, so but you don't want to make it completely unenjoyable where it's just becomes a bit of a chore to make sure, like, because we go through and we do our loadouts and we sit there for like for 30-40 minutes just mucking about with guns and doing it. But when you're having to sit there and go, right, so I've got to make sure I don't put too much weight on the thing, like you're only really looking at for that if you're going into the simulation, like, and you want it to be stupidly serious. And even then, if I was looking for something like that, I'd probably say actually going and doing something like airsoft or paintball with like where you can get the decent guns, or like there's a military grade laser tag now where it's got like electric shock pads on it as well.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
I think that's when you start talking about these kind of features that you'd be adding, that's when you get into the point where it's like, really, is it going a little bit too far where it ruin it, because it's still sold, even though like we were saying it was a simulation, it's still sold as a game to people, like the normal consumer. It's not like it's something that they're like selling to the military. I could understand if they're going to sell to the military, but even then the military just be like, well, we'll just go and do it in like the big field.
Yeah, we got a field in there and some guns.
What's that? You want me to sit in front of this computer? Do you see what's behind me? I mean, you see that, match range that's got a 1,000-yard range on it? I'll just go do that.
Oh.
And I like 100-acre, battle simulation ground with multiple villages in there with European buildings and, Middle Eastern buildings and
of
stuff
course,
like that. I think
the kill house.
Oh God! But that's what I mean, though. It's like that's where you've kind of got to like. It'd be great to have those features, but you've kind of got to get to a point where you go, when is it going a little bit too far?
Well, it's one of those things where, with it being a game, it's very easy for them to make it so it could just be, do you want it to be the heavy simulation? Because, like, let's face it, I mean, we're on about, say, modifications on guns. They do add weight to guns, so making it change the profile of the handling of guns would be cool, but it doesn't change them that much, really. And in retrospect, when you actually look at the weight of a lot of these modifications, the heaviest modifications are probably like your scopes, and then if you're adding extra bullets on bipods,
bipods add a bit of weight as well.
But like stuff like your laser and torches, 9 times out of 10, they're very, very lightweight.
I understand that, but I think it's like when you get to that point, though, when you're saying about these features where like we're talking about the weight distribution and all that, and like I think as well at the moment they can't make the game optimized as it is.
They can't get you to jump over a fence reliably.
All these extra things. It's like, really, you want to be looking forward to the next generation style items, especially when you go into the new era of CPUs, GPUs, RAM, just motherboards in general. Like all your IT equipment is getting better, and like now we've got i9s, whereas before, when Arma 3 came out, they were just coming. I think it was just before i9s came out.
Arma 3 came out way before i9s. Arma 3 was actually quite old when you think about it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like
early i7s, probably.
Yeah,
there's all this new kit and there's all this new thing, but even then, it's like, how well will that cope when the game's not optimized? I think really first, like you were saying, the first thing is they've just got to optimize stuff. As soon as they've optimized it as it is, I think that's when they can really start looking at adding more. Because I mean, they're pretty bulked out games as they are.
Well, it's 50 gigs as standard with the DLC that we have, Ryan. I don't know, because I know you've got the mobilized thing, Ollie, but the game for us is 50 gigs, but then with all our mods, it's, I think,
probably that again.
It's another 50 gigs just in mods, because obviously we've got map mods, gun mods, we've got all sorts of mods.
Yeah.
They're not that bad though, really. They're not. I don't know if it'd be like 100 gig. I don't know.
I would say so.
It is.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, we have got like about 70 mods.
RHS and Cup alone are like 40 gig.
But if you're like super serious, I know like we obviously play it and we have a lot of fun. But I mean, if you're modding it like mad, you could have even more than that. So you could be looking at
easy.
150 gig game.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if Arma 4 on release is an 80 gig game. It wouldn't surprise me.
easy. I wouldn't be surprised if it's over 100.
Yeah, because you know for a fact they're gonna have obviously all the maps that we know and love. They're probably just gonna up-res them into the new engine and make them work. But they're gonna have new maps. They're going to. You just know it.
Definitely.
I would actually really like it if they had a snow map
without new maps, because it'd just be like, well, it's not. If they released it without new maps, you'd just be like, well, it's not really a new game, is it? It's just you're pretending it's a new game and giving it to us. I think we've saying that, like we just talked about the size of games. I think that's one thing that, especially for PC gamers, for us, we're constantly like fighting for space, especially with the ease of getting games on Steam now. I mean, I've got a library of about 200, 300, I think.
Mine's about 80 because I've mainly more of a console gamer. I play on my PC a lot, especially with streaming and stuff, but console is more my thing just because my PC is not a powerhouse.
Yeah. I think I'm into a few hundred games on Steam, that is, as well. Like, I've got a few on other platforms.
440 games I've got.
Yeah. I'd look, but I'm not going to risk ruining my connection, so...
Bear in mind, a majority of those games are all from the Yogscast Jingle Jam stream with the Humble Bundle. So it's just like...
Yeah.
I've got a good 15 games. Yeah, I've got a good 15 games from the Humble Bundle thing because I did it as a joke. So they had a Humble Bundle, which was... Have you guys seen the Honey Pop games and the Sakura games?
Of course I've seen them.
Sakura rings a bell.
So the Honey Pop games is basically a visual novel where you go and talk to people and then you go on dates and you do a Bejeweled style game.
Though.
I think I know. Have Game Grumps played it?
I'm pretty sure everybody played it.
I think I might have seen the Game Grumps playthrough,
So,
but I wouldn't know the game by name.
So I got a Humble Bundle which had the Honey Cam Studio where you run a cam studio for EFOTs basically. And then it comes with a load of these games which have the prefix of Sakura. So there's like Sakura Angel, Sakura Swim Club, and they're basically just like short, lewd,
porn
like
games.
They don't actually have a lot of them don't have porn in them. I've noticed, but they're very, very lewd kind of things. But
usually what you'll find with a lot of those is they're actually a lot of it's kind of like moved, like cut out.
Yeah, you have to patch it back in.
So like I've got the Neko Para game, the first one.
Oh god, not
and
Neko
you can
Para.
go onto a forum. You can go on and you can download the patch, which obviously gives you all the lewd content that they take out. And why would I play the game without like patching it?
I bought this for one specific reason.
I paid for this game. I want the content.
I want pictures of cat girls. God damn it!
Well, it's like with the
When are we going to have genetically engineered cat girls? That's what I want to know.
Somebody get on the phone to Elon Musk.
with the Humble Bundle I bought, I literally bought it as a joke to like play it with the wife next to me. So I ended up getting her to play Honey Pop. So she's playing this anime-styled dating game, trying to do the puzzles, and I patched it so that the nudity was still there. And I literally said to her that the target of this game for this gameplay session was to get
anime
laid.
titties.
To get laid. That was the process. And I did have. I think it's gone now because of hardware failure and stuff. And I never uploaded it. But I basically had this hour-long video or 2-hour-long video or something like that of a full playthrough, pretty much, of my wife playing it, where I properly censored all the bits that were causing issues and things like that. I put quite a bit of effort into it, and then I've lost it.
I can just see her unimpressed face from like last night. It was just like.
It was literally like, I'm gonna get you to, I got to sit down. I was like, right, I'm gonna get you to play this game. She's like, what is it? And I was like, don't worry, you'll understand. And as soon as she hears this music, and she goes, oh, for God's sake, it sounds like some fucking anime game. Because obviously, and the game comes in, and she's like, oh, for fuck's sake.
I don't know how she did it though. I mean,
she played it. She trooped through.
In there playing. I think this is kind of something I want to talk about as well. Actually, is with like the censoring of games nowadays. I mean, if you want to make an 18+ game where it features nudity, I mean, like I'm not talking just putting nudity in for
nudity's
sake of having nudity. Like, yeah, I mean, like if you're doing like The Witcher, say, obviously they do very careful scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, but I mean, like there was mods on Skyrim where obviously everyone downloads them. Where
Everyone was naked.
CBB bodies
CBB
and stuff,
body mod and stuff like that.
Yeah, all that. I mean, what
I just happen to know the name, honest.
I watched mod videos. I watched I think it was MXR Mod Weekly. I used to watch.
Mods. Yeah,
I never
Good
actually
save,
had
good save.
Skyrim on my PC. I just liked looking at the mods because some of the content was really well done.
I used to
Really
mod
like
Skyrim on PC, but it's just like when you re-download it, to sit there and re-download all the mods, you're just like, I give up, and I uninstall it. I'll reinstall it. I'll go to mod it. I'll go, no, I can't be bothered. I uninstall it.
Fuck that. Yeah. There's so many mods as well that like, oh yeah, the
You
graphics
sat
looks a bit
scrolling
better.
through for hours. You're trying to find the ones you used to have, and you're like, I can't find it.
Oh man, fuck that.
I think though, with
Go on, sorry.
what I was trying to say is, when it comes to like nudity in games, I think, are we going too far with censorship? Like, I mean, if as long as your game's an 18+ or a 15+ or whatever it needs to be to have nudity in it, I think it should be thing. But I feel like there's more games like where they could have it in where like it wouldn't be, you know, just add it for the sake of it. But
But
What,
speaking
the
of
thing-
adding it for the sake of it, have you played genital jousting?
Oh god.
yeah,
I've seen it.
I played that with Danny, and oh, what a game! What
Do you know what I
a
mean?
game.
It's like, games are kind of they're censored as such, especially on Steam. I'd say like
It's
you don't see games-
Steam games, yeah. Apart from Witcher, I mean, Witcher did. To be fair, Witcher did have a lot of nudity in it, and I'm trying to think. Of other games. I mean,
Steam though recently they've made it so you can have adult games on Steam. They've made it so it's very
Have
open.
they?
Yeah,
Like, there was a big hoo-ha about it all.
There was a big hoo-ha, and then basically one of the Steam guys came in and tried to like stop it, and then I think it was literally either Gabe Newell or someone above him, literally just came in and was like, no, we want Steam to be an open platform. What they don't want is troll games, and that's what they were trying to stop. So troll games will get blocked off, but adult games are on there. You can get all of the anime style ones, you can get all of the Western style ones. The only time they don't allow them on there is when it is illegal content. So say it's like obviously say it was child pornography or child adult content, they wouldn't allow that because that is an illegal piece of content. But
I think some of the Japanese games may be pushing that one then a little bit.
They do, but they're able to skirt the boundary by not having ages, and that's what they usually do.
Well, because they're cartoons as well. I think there's like this. I can remember reading a news article, and it was basically about like anime and hentai especially. There's like this convention where it was based more on. I'm trying to think of the name of it, but basically where it's like an older woman and a younger boy, like a really young boy, like child style, and they're kind of like this. The way they skirted around it is the fact that it wasn't actually a human individual; it was a drawing. And I'm not saying it's, you know, good or bad. I'm kind of like, I kind of sit there and I kind of go, I don't get it.
yeah.
I'm not myself. It's not my kind of like. Don't get me wrong. I've gone through some weird stuff. Yeah.
I think it's a case of like you've got to consider the cultural difference.
Yes.
But on the other hand, you have got to objectively look at what they're kind of promoting as well. It's a bit of a grey.
Well,
it's a weird thing.
It is one of those weird things though. But I remember reading about this because I actually got into it wasn't an argument. I was discussing with someone about this because it was obviously what they call it Loli, don't they? Lolita type stuff. So
yeah.
I was looking into this, and the Japanese government, I think, at one point did want to ban it. They wanted to completely ban it, whether it was a drawing or not. But they went and did research into it, and they looked into it, and they spoke to quite a lot of groups. I can't remember off the top of my head, but what they found out that was a lot of people who were affluent to Lolita were actually using that as an outlet because they said, I'm using this as an outlet so that way then I don't do it to real people or real images, and this is my way of getting it out of my system without causing actual damage to humans.
There's people who say that, and there's other people who just say it's like, well, it's just down to the fact that in the end, it's a drawing.
Yeah.
It's not an actual person, like you say. It's not an actual person. I think obviously there are questionable parts because other people, it's just like gun laws or laws with knives or laws with anything. One person will do one thing with it, and one person will do the other. And I think the problem is individuality here, and you're always going to get people who act differently with it. But like what I'm saying with that is, it's like, where do we like hit those boundaries? Because especially with freedom of speech and freedom like of just being in like the West, where you can just do what you want to an extent without it's a tricky one, isn't it, really? And I think there's some games on Steam where you can look at these characters and they're clearly, well, it's the body types, though, isn't it? Really, I think what I'm trying to get is like you get people who are clearly, they look very young. You know, they've not really matured. Yeah, well, it's like
it does happen.
I think it's how you look at it, really. I don't know how to kind of put the point across, but it's like you can. Part of me kind of wants to say, well, that's clearly a child's body as such. But then there are people who are physically like that, though, at an older age. So it's
in Asia, I will say,
more so there.
Japanese women seem to look around 20 or 120, and there is no in between.
Oh yeah,
they don't. Some of them don't age at all.
No,
she's like 50, and it's like you look like a 20-year-old woman. What's going on here?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean,
they're living the life over there. None of them age.
Yeah, going back to the censorship thing. I think the thing that annoys me most in the way that games can get censored. Fucking hell. Censored.
You get there.
Yeah, the thing that annoys me most is like, okay, like adult content is one thing. It's one of those, more of those. It's more, if it's an artistic kind of rendition, it's cool. But the thing that bothers me most is when companies are self-censoring themselves because they're worried about like SJW backlash.
Yes.
I got insider knowledge based off of where I used to work. A guy worked for Square Enix. And one of the things about Final Fantasy 15, which was a game I was very looking forward to, there was going to actually be some very dark story content for the female lead character in it, which was she was basically an Oracle princess type character, I can't remember off the top of my head, and an invading force had taken over her country area, whatever it was. So she was basically a prisoner of war for them, but she was also very highly respected. So she was a prisoner, but she wasn't like in prison. There was using her for political gain. But obviously, being in that position, you're still going to have some dangerous things happen to you. You're still going to be in a very susceptibly abusive, vulnerable situation. But they never showed any of that in the game whatsoever because it had all been cut. They cut all of the stuff because they didn't want any backlash showing her in danger or showing her being abused. But the way I see it is like, if your story is showing a female or male character being downtrodden, beaten, abused, told not to do something, and they're able to come out the other side and still continue to fulfill their goals, that shows
it's a development.
Yeah, that shows empowerment.
Yeah. It's there's too much now. Like you're saying, with especially SJWs, is I feel like I see a lot, and like really, we're not allowed to give our opinion because we'll just get shat on whatever we say now.
Well, we are white cisgendered males. We are the enemy of society. So.
But do you know what I mean? It's like, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Don't play it.
What was it? Kingdom Come Deliverance was like slammed for not having like a racially diverse cast. It's like it's almost like 14th century Czechoslovakia was predominantly white.
What a surprise!
It's not.
I hate
doing
that.
it to exclude any other ethnicities. No. That's just what it was like.
It's like EA doing one of the latest Battlefields. Like, was it the World War II one?
It was
female sniper.
It was Battlefield 1, and it was a female sniper who was missing an arm or something stupid like that. She had like a hook arm.
Battlefield 1
woman
set in World War 1, wasn't it? Pretty sure.
Yeah.
No, World War II.
Was
it World War Two?
I thought it was World War One.
Battlefield 5 was World War 2, Battlefield 1 was World War 1.
It must have been Battlefield 5 then. It must have been Battlefield 5 the one we're talking about, because I've played number 1 and it didn't have any of that stuff. Yeah.
I remember it was on the trailer. It was like one of the main trailers. I remember like there was a huge backlash.
What force was she in? Like, was she?
She was British forces, but like I haven't played it, which is probably naughty to be commenting on it when I haven't played it and don't know the nuance of it. But from what I could see, they didn't look like they were normal soldiers. They looked like they were for the British, but like they were kind of like
ragtag militia.
Yeah, like a specialist squad or something like that. So you can, if it was in the story and it's an alternate history, it's fine. But like there was a lot of revisionist history in that game. There was a whole thing about I think it was Sweden. The Nazis had a heavy water refinery, and they were using it to basically sort of develop nuclear weapons, or at least kind of that sort of research. Like I think it was like they were making deuterium and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And in reality, a load of British commandos and a lot of other forces were responsible for taking that all out, and they sunk a ship, which did unfortunately have civilians on it as well, but they were using civilian transports to transport this heavy water, and they sunk the ship. But in the game, they just made it out that it was all done by this one woman, and it's kind of like...
I think when you start...
Like... It's the fact that... I'm not saying, oh, well, a woman did it. It's nothing like that. It's more so they've taken this real event and then just kind of rewritten it, say that it was this one person. If they'd done a sort of similar thing with a slightly different plot line on this woman, I'd be totally cool with it. But it's the fact that they've kind of rewritten history with it a little bit, and I'm a little uncomfortable with that.
I think that's a bit disrespectful as well, because there'll have been men and there'll have been women who might have taken part in that in different ways. Even especially the civilians who lost their lives, and they're just completely making out. And we all know there's going to be some muppet who's bought the game. They've not been very clear with the game to say this isn't reality. Well, obviously we know it's not reality because it's a game.
We know it's not reality, but
they've not gone, this is an alternate timeline. This isn't based directly on World War II. This is our own kind of alternate universe. So, like, alternate universe, I'd be like, yeah, fair enough. If they said from the start, this is what it is.
I'm cool with that.
This is a revised timeline, yeah.
Bingo. Great.
Yeah.
Go to town, do whatever.
There's going to be some muppet who buys that game, and they're going to start going around thinking there's some sort of historian, which obviously EA can't stop. But I think it's also EA's part to like really think about what they're doing, especially when it's something as sensitive as real people who have fought in real battles.
It was a real event as well.
Yeah, like a very specific real event that they've kind of picked for one of the missions. Because I mean, like, there's so many missions in like Call of Duties and Battlefield and stuff where it's kind of like, oh, you've taken this village or town, Belarus or Germany or something,
and it's nondescript.
Yeah, it's very basic. It just doesn't make.
They're able to just basically say this could have happened, but obviously this is our fictional rendition of it. Basically, it's like Modern Warfare. It goes, we go to Afghanistan. It's like Afghanistan's very big, but we're not going to give you a very specific area of Afghanistan because we don't.
Yeah, we're not going to say
cause any issues.
Well, Call of Duty Modern Warfare is actually like they make it very clear. It's like an alternate timeline with like it's based off what happened in like the Gulf Wars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's very obviously not an actual it's not reality.
And
it's just
fine.
within the time area of where we've been in war, in Afghanistan and in the Gulf and in the Middle East. I think it's just making sure you get your points pushed across correctly.
Yeah,
I think there's too much of this kind of mucking about nowadays to tick boxes. There's a very big problem with ticking boxes, like you're saying with Kingdom Come Deliverance. Oh, there's not enough ethnic people from other cultures. I'm like, well, yeah, it's the middle of Eastern Europe.
Yes, I mean, in the 14th century, of course there's not. Like, it's frustrating. To be fair, the problem is, it's a very vocal minority that are complaining about it.
Yeah.
It's going to be 20 people when you think of the millions and millions of people that are buying this game. But the frustrating is they're so fucking loud.
It's
the devs listen to them, or journalism and stuff like that. All the news outlets.
That's the issue, like you say, because you'll have hundreds of thousands, millions of people playing the game perfectly fine with no issues. And the issue is when people really enjoy things or they like things, they're not very vocal about it usually because it does what they need it to. They're happy with what they've got and they don't need to talk about it unless asked about it. But when it's the opposite, when someone is unhappy with something, let's face it, we are, as a human race, are some of the greatest moaners and complainers ever. So
especially here in the UK.
Yeah. So they're going,
especially in the UK.
So they're going to moan about it and they're going to complain about it. But I mean, like with the whole, the way they changed the war story, I think the thing that annoys me most there is like, you don't need to change these stories. The stories are cool as they are.
No, it's akin to the way they've changed that story. I'm just trying to think of like what's a famous like military operation. Like I'm drawing a blank here.
Just like a D-Day operation, basically.
Maybe it's a stretch to say D-Day, but like let's
Black
say
Hawk Down. Go Black Hawk Down. That's an easy
Black Hawk Down.
Yeah.
Black Hawk Down, or something like the Iranian embassy siege in London. It was in the 80s.
Yeah, with the SAS.
It would be like saying, instead of that whole squad of SAS, it was just this one guy, and he was just really good.
It was this one disabled. It's just how it gets so extreme. They're like, oh yeah, they were missing an arm. They were actually going through the transition. They were going through the transition. They were actually half Irish, half Middle Eastern, and they had an eye patch. And
here's the thing, like, if they make a character that is all those things, that's fine.
Fair enough.
Like, but make a plot for them.
Yeah.
Just make a
plot story.
I remember talking with a few people very close to me who I've known for quite a few years who have been through potential like changes in their sexuality, changes in how they see themselves as a person, and we had a thing where I previously worked that was talking about how to get maybe a transgender person into the game, or how to get maybe someone of a gender fluid kind of viewpoint, or even like someone who's bisexual or gay. And there was like, oh, how will we get them in the game? It's like, I was there like, well, you just write the character, and if they have a boyfriend, they have a boyfriend. If they have a girlfriend, they have a girlfriend. You don't need to explain it. It's just what it is.
Yeah,
and I went and spoke,
you don't need to make it a thing.
No, I went and spoke to these people and friends of mine who have had those kind of identity issues where they've been struggling to figure it all out. And I said, how would you actually like to be represented? What would you think is the best way to represent it? And they just went the exact same way as anyone else I could think of. It's like, well, just don't force it. Don't make them a character.
Like normal people.
Yeah. Don't
if
make
that's
going to
be the story, that's the story.
Yeah. If the story as a whole is, say it's a story-driven game like Life is Strange or something, and the whole idea of it is trying to find your identity in the gender outlook and trying to find your identity in the sexual outlook, then fair enough, you can make it more of a characterful thing and more of an impactful thing in the front of the story, because that is the story. If it's some side character that you see in an RPG and then out of nowhere they go, oh, by the way, I'm transgender. It doesn't. No one would do that.
Yeah.
Why would you just tell me that? It's like, you don't need to.
Speaking, sorry.
You go ahead.
I was just going to say, speaking of like that kind of representation in games, funnily enough, Animal Crossing did a really good job of it. At the start, it doesn't say, "Are you a boy?" It used to. You say, "Are you a boy or a girl?"
Yeah.
Now it just says, "Choose your style," and it just shows like generic masculine, generic feminine.
Yeah.
And you can start from there. But the great thing is, all the clothes are just like, there's just one body type, a generic villager that stands there like this and goes, which is a bit weird. I don't know why they do that. It's very strange.
With the cold, dead eyes staring consistently.
Very consistent. Never blinking. It's really weird. If ever you do get a chance to play Animal Crossing, just look at the characters. They all stand there, arms aside, and they just go...
There's actually a really weird TikTok thing of that, because I've got it as well, but there's this really weird TikTok thing that people do where they dress up as their Animal Crossing things, and they just sit there and do the shoulder thing. And it's
so
like
creepy.
And the thing is, though, it's massive. They all do it, and you're there like...
Yeah. In that art style of the game, it works, you don't notice, but like every now and then you'll just stop and look at it and just go, that's really weird.
The Naruto one's the best part, though, let's be honest.
Oh, I love it. When we first saw one of our villagers doing that, we lost our shit, honestly. And then what's the great thing is you'll get groups of them doing it. So you'll come to like your main town plaza and they're all just going... They'll do it synchronized as well, and it's just the best
Naruto
thing.
theme tune starts playing.
I would. But what I was saying before is every hairstyle, makeup, any item, clothing, anything, anyone can wear it. You can mix and match and do anything.
So there's no limit saying, oh, you are of the wrong style, you can't wear this. It's just, no, you wear a dress, wear a dress.
Yeah, there's no gender identity. I'm pretty sure, like, when I've been watching Danny play, or when I've been playing, whenever the villagers have referred to me or Danny, I don't think they've ever said, like, he or she.
It's always like you.
I don't think they have. Yeah. Now I think about it, I don't think they ever have. So I think
they usually name a lot.
Yeah, and Nintendo have been really good with it.
Yes, because I think Cyberpunk has also done that, what they've announced. Because I remember they obviously had the E3... Hello, Lassie. They had the E3 gameplay unveiling. I can't remember if that was one that Keanu came out and did. And obviously it showed the beginning.
You're breathtaking.
You're breathtaking.
Yeah. That best bit.
That had the treasure.
But they,
yeah, I think it was E3 last year.
So
they obviously unveiled it, and they started showing the character creation. It went male or female, did all this, and they had a little bit of a backlash from people saying, well, what about other misrepresented genders? And then what they did is, rather than making it so there's a list of genders, they literally just said, no, you just make your style. If you can pick your voice to be a more feminine voice, you can pick your voice to be a more masculine voice. You can have a masculine voice with feminine features. You can have a feminine voice with masculine features, because I said they was thinking about it, and they say it works with their story as well, because it's the future and body modification, and
everyone's modding themselves, of course.
Like, if you want to change your voice to be something else, it would literally just be a simple procedure going down to your local skin grafting guy, or whatever they call them, and just literally pop, done.
Yeah, make me an action man.
Yeah.
Smooth.
I think it's. I don't think there's like. I found with my friend who's actually going through the transition. I think it's more of like a when it's somebody who's serious about going through the transition. They usually, I can't say exactly for them. It's usually when they're just going, right, I am a boy, you know, I am female or I'm male, and that's how you identify them. I think you find, especially I found when like I've gone to Comic-Con. A big problem there is people and children, really. You know, they're 16 at most, sometimes younger than that. And they think they're this thing. And then they're just running about, and they're just very arrogant and very brazen about it. It's like, if you accidentally misgender somebody, you know, that's not a problem.
It's not a crime.
You do. If I don't know you and I go, her over there, somebody with a female body, I go, him over there. Clearly, you know, has the masculine body or a female body, like a feminine body.
Yeah, it's one of those things,
and they will
where,
get
like...
so they'll just get so butthurt about it, and they'll be like, "Oh, you misgendered me." Like, it's not all of them, because my mate is the soundest person about it.
Well, you won't notice it from the ones who don't make a fuss, I guess.
Yeah. But because they're just average people. They're just normal people in the end.
But it's like
that's
saying
what
that it's one of those things that it's like people, like, when people get riled up about it, it's just like, well, you got to think about it. Mistakes happen. At the end of the day, think about it when you mistake someone's name.
I've been called.
You're mistaking someone's name. You are mistaking their identity as a whole. So it's not just mistaking your gender. It's not just mistaking your stature. It's literally mistaking your entire identity. So why do people not get massively angry about that, yet they do about gender? It's like, mistakes happen. We
correct the person.
And if the person doesn't apologize and continues saying it wrongly, then they're the problem. But if you
then you've got a right to
if you explode at them, you are the problem.
But I guess that's it. A lot of, I suppose, one way to look at it is you're saying a lot of them are quite young. I suppose that's probably the kind of age when a lot of them are kind of beginning to discover these things about themselves.
I think I feel like we're forcing it upon people a bit more nowadays. Obviously there's got to be an awareness, but I feel like I think more people are feeling like they have to be this now, and it's like, you know, you be what you want, do what you like. Nobody cares. Like in the end, if somebody does care, they're clearly in a position where they're just not mentally kind of concentrating correctly.
Sorry, I just saw a tail wagging. I was like, you better pet that fucking dog.
I am. Don't worry, I am. She's literally been here for the past 5 minutes, and as soon as I stop, she literally snoots my hand back onto her head for me to continue petting her.
Yes.
I think the thing is like I say, is like people feel more as if they have to like engage with these things nowadays, especially when they're young, because everyone's so like you're so influential. Like you can be influenced so easy when you're young.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, your brain is literally a sponge when you're young. That's why we do school at that time.
And these people, like, I think it's just this main problem is that on all sides, everyone's going on about democracy and stuff and being like democratic about things and making sure everyone like gets to put a point in. But then as soon as somebody doesn't get something they like or they want people to do what they do, they try and force it on you. This is very, very, it's very fascist. Like this way that
very much a culture of stop liking what I don't like.
Yeah. It's like you like this, that's not allowed. You can't do that.
We've had this conversation before, haven't we, Ron? I remember we was talking about this once, where we were saying like the thing we've noticed that's the most I find the most annoying is how, for some reason, everyone seems to think you have to like everyone. It's like, no, you don't. I don't have.
I tell people I don't like them.
I don't have to like everyone, and you don't have to like me. I'm not adverse to someone disliking me. If you dislike me, that is fine, because that's your opinion. Just like my opinion is, I don't like you, for instance, or someone else, for instance. It's just how it is. We are not built to be a complete homogenous entity of humans. We will have a scathing relationship here and there, and that is normal. That is growth. That is how you understand your points that you dislike and your points that you do like in people.
People use it though. Like, I've seen it used in workplaces, in school, and just throughout my lifetime, like at Comic-Con and stuff. People use it as a way to get at people, and they use it as like everyone's always on the attack. They're always like, but they said they didn't like me. It's like, well, fair enough. They don't have to like you. Nobody else
okay.
Invite me to this, or this person didn't invite that person to that, or this person did this with this person but wouldn't do it with this person. It's like, well, you can't force people to want to do stuff with you. I mean, like it's just so ridiculous to expect people to just bow to you and do everything with you. It's like that can't physically be done. It's like, I mean, I can't be like, well, Boris went and celebrated about having his child today or whatever, but he didn't celebrate with me. Yeah. Why didn't he invite me?
What a dick!
What's an absolute knob? He didn't invite me, and it's like, well, no, because he wanted to celebrate with his family and his close friends. That's what if I want to go to the cinema and see a film, and I've got a few friends, and I ask somebody specifically. And then they mention it to like the other person, and then the other people go, "Oh, but why didn't we get an invite?" It's like, well, I just wanted to go with this certain person this time, and I just wanted to do this. Like, why do I have to answer to you for something that was nothing to do with you in the first place? It's like,
you don't.
Well, it was
something that's being pushed more nowadays, isn't it? Yeah. It's like,
I mean, I think we've all kind of had it in the past where like someone just comes up to you, is like, "Oh, so and so told me that you don't like me." It's like, well, I don't know you. How can I dislike you or like you if I don't know you? I've talked to you twice. And they're like, well, what did you say about me? I said, I don't know the person, but you give off bad vibes when I first met you. But that's when I first met you. That was a first impression. Things changed. And it was a thing that annoyed me when I worked at a fast food restaurant that everyone will obviously know exactly which one I'm on about.
Yes, of course.
Other fast food restaurants are available.
Yes,
but like I remember,
just for the balance.
Yeah, just for the balance. But when I worked there, I was one of the older ones there because I'd started there when I was at university. So I was like, maybe I was a year later to university anyway. So I think I was maybe like 19, 20 when I went there. But I was like, I had managers that were 17 years old who were my boss, which was really awkward. But everyone there, because they were like just fresh out of school, just going into college, were really of that mindset of, I want to make sure everyone likes me. I need to make sure everyone gets on with me. And I was literally just there to work. I didn't give a fuck. I just wanted to get my work done. And the amount of times people would just be like, well, you just seem so standoffish. It's like, I'm not standoffish. I just want to get my work done. I'm not here to have a nice, friendly conversation with you because I don't know you. Just because we work together doesn't mean we're friends. I just work with you.
Too many people are there, like, at work as some sort of game now,
Yeah.
as a social gathering. Don't get me wrong, like I will socialize with people at work.
Well,
if I don't
that's
want to
how we
socialize
met,
with you, and
and-
I don't,
yeah.
if I don't like somebody, like I'm not going to force myself to like you. It's like I'll be civil with you.
You
know,
tolerate
I'll talk
them
like a human. I can do that. I've done that with people I absolutely despise, and I've like properly fallen out with and had real big problems with. I'm not going to like just be a complete arsehole. I mean, that's just like when you're an adult. Like I'm an adult. I've got to just deal with this shit. I might like hate your guts, but I'm not going to sit there and like just be a complete arsehole and ruin whatever we're doing or wherever we are and ruin that for everybody else just because you're there.
Especially at work, because that was
especially at work when you really, in the end, you're there to work. I mean, we're not here to have a chit chat. If we get the time to, we can have a chit chat, but
that's
not your primary function.
That was the issue that people used to. That was the issue I used to have when I worked at the fast food places. People would be much more bothered about making friends and stuff, and I remember literally like, 'cause I used to just say it straight. Like I didn't care if they were a manager or not. If someone was being an arsehole or just being stupid, I'd just say it straight, and I didn't hide things from people. Like people would ask me what I thought of people, and I'd just say it. So like I remember there was this one particular time they asked me what I thought of a certain manager, and I said I think he's a waste of space because he can't control the staff and he doesn't actually know how to do his job. The only reason he got put as a manager position was because they needed a manager. And I literally said that to him, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're such a bitch." And it's like, no, I'm not, because I'd say that to his face. And there was like, no, you wouldn't. I literally called him over to me and told it him to his face, and then just to prove it. And it was like, you want me to do that to anyone else in the store? I'll do it. I don't care. I'm here to work, not to make friends. He's a crap manager. You're shit at your job as well. Can we just carry on? And they were just like stunned as I'm there, just still working while I'm saying all this.
It's a popularity game.
Yeah.
There's still a major problem with society, I'd say. From my opinion, there's still a major problem with popularity. Like people are just so set, and like don't get me wrong, like I like getting the attention at times. I mean, like that's why we're doing this. It's like you hope people watch it and enjoy listening to us and stuff like that. But there's this massive problem, and I think it spouts from school, and there's a lot of bad management methods with it. Like obviously in the UK, we still have uniforms because we're like, oh, people are going to get bullied. And I'm like, well, really,
get bullied with the uniforms, even if
you get bullied with the uniforms anyway. Don't get me wrong, like a little bit of bullying doesn't hurt. Like I think
it's called character building.
Character building, yeah. I think if you completely rid the world of bullying, everyone's going to be soft as fucking butter, and it's just going to be a nightmare because you can't say anything slightly offensive because everyone will cry.
If anything, the uniform actually causes more problems, in my opinion, because uniforms cost way too much money. So it makes people spend more money than they need to. So when people are like, "Oh, did you get the new game?" It's like, no, I don't, because my mum had to buy this £50 fucking uniform.
Well, there's kids I knew. There was a kid who was one of the bullies, but his blazer was like up here, and he's just.
Was he just like a 30-year-old man in some children's clothing, just punching other kids?
He was very lanky, and we were sorting out a loft, and I actually found a picture of him, and his hair just looked like a pineapple, and he used to bully me. He used to bully me quite frequently, and now I look at that and I'm like, I wonder where he is now. And I'm like, I can't wait till
he's at the next school.
The day I see these people.
He's moved on to the next school and he's there. Hello, fellow kids.
He's in secondary school now.
But I think this is the thing: is like we were saying with uniforms, you're always going to have problems. Like you say, with £50 uniform. I'm just like, in a way, it's the same at work because there's a lot of businesses still in the UK where it's not dressed down, and I push to find jobs where it is dressed down because it's just so easy, and so I don't have to buy new clothes as much. You know? I can just wear what I like, and nobody
for me as well, because I moved to a job where it was in an office, and it was just like, oh great, so now I need to go buy 4 pairs of good trousers, 4 good shirts, a couple of good ties, or some of these other bits. And it was just like, I'm buying this shit that I'm never going to wear outside of work, and it was just uncomfortable and horrible because you don't want to get the expensive stuff because you're only wearing it for work. But then you go to work and you're wearing it, and it's like really not nice to wear.
We used to have to wear shirts and ties, and you'd be crawling on the desk.
Ties.
we'd be crawling under desks. I'd have a shirt, a tie, and a like proper trousers on, like work, like nice kind of like shirt and tie.
I know the type, yeah.
But I'm crawling under people's desks, like routing cables and plugging stuff in, and I'm there like buying new trousers every other month because they're all just like.
At least you have jeans or something. Like at least the jeans will wear a bit better or something.
It was a very weird. It's a very weird experience working with shirt and tie. Like for me, it wasn't too bad because I'd just come from school, so I was in a shirt and tie for the next like 3 years. And part of me kind of liked it because it helps you like separate your time. Like you're like in shirt and tie, that's work time. Out of it, it's home. It's relaxed time. But I've got to a point where I'm like, I much prefer to be able to just chuck some jeans on, chuck a t-shirt on, a hoodie. Then I've got my gym kit as well. I'll go to the gym. I'll do my gym session for an hour or so. I'll go into work and I'll be comfortable. I won't be in this like shirt and tie, like really uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that a lot of
like,
companies need to make.
Most of the time, people can't see you.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that companies need to understand is like a lot of the time people aren't comfortable in shirt and tie, and just having them comfortable makes them more efficient, in my opinion. We've got.
If people want to wear a shirt and tie, they can wear one.
Yeah, if that's what they find comfortable, they can do that. But yeah, so we got.
You'll get the Mickey Rip type,
Yeah. We've got around 5 minutes left, so I know we said just before the podcast we both me and Ryan wanted to hear a story that Ollie let us know about called the World War II ice cream plane. So I thought that might be a good thing just to like kind of close off with something a bit more lighthearted. If you want to tell the story, Ollie.
Yeah. So basically, like I was listening to another podcast, one called No Such Thing as a Fish, which is a really good podcast. I recommend listening to it. And basically, they were saying about how during World War II, the Americans were really into ice cream. Like they were like, it was considered as like a supply. They had fucking battleships making ice cream. They had carriers making ice cream. Like, I shit you not, that I didn't know. I absolutely did not know this. That like, because it was banned in the UK at the time for rationing. Like it just, whereas like in the US guys were just pumping out fucking ice cream.
Is this like the M1 Abrams that literally has like deep fried chicken bats?
Probably.
Wait, is that an actual feature in the M1 Abrams?
I'm not
There's
sure.
Tea making.
Every English tank has a tea making.
Yeah. But getting back to the planes, so obviously back then, you can't take for granted how refined planes are now. But obviously back then, all the old warbirds, they were proper like rattlers. So what they used to do was on, I don't know if it was on, I think they did it on fighters and bombers. They just have a fucking drum on the back of the plane full of the ingredients of ice cream. They just chuck it in, go up in the plane, and the vibration of the plane would be enough to mix it. And then they'd be flying at like 33,000 feet and they'd make ice cream whilst they flew. And apparently, because they decided to go so high, because this was on the Pacific, yeah, they went up to 33,000 feet, and they were so high that the Japanese planes and anti-air guns couldn't shoot them down. So there were guys up in the air just flying these fucking planes, just to make like
ice cream,
making ice cream, while some people on the ground fully trying to kill them. Like, yeah, I'm just making some ice cream.
What I want to know is, why is nobody doing this as a business idea now?
Honestly,
buy a really old rattly plane.
I thought, get an old warbird, make the ice cream. Like, I mean, to be honest, even if you didn't make it so it vibrated, I reckon an air-powered propeller that would just be enough to like mix it, and then just fly up and just brand it as like aircraft frozen ice cream. I reckon that'd be. It's a bit of a gimmick. I think it'd be awesome.
We don't usually do questions, but I have just seen a question in the chat that is a very important question for this story, and it's from Minor Delusion, which is, what kind of ice cream?
I don't know. I would assume vanilla.
Yeah, I would have guessed vanilla as well.
What would a flavour? Did they have many flavours back in?
Yeah, oil.
Probably.
Gunpowder.
Cocoa powder.
Napalm flavoured ice cream.
Oh yeah, this is another thing, just on kind of the ice cream story as well. Apparently, I can't remember which carrier it was, but one of the carriers got struck during the Pacific confrontation that was making ice cream, and apparently there were guys, whilst it was going down, that were running into the factory area, getting a scoop of ice cream with their fucking helmet, and then abandoning ship. And apparently, like, loads of guys were doing it. I mean, I suppose it makes sense, because if you're going to be stranded at sea, I mean, fucking hell, an M2 helmet full of
Just
ice cream. I mean, it's going to turn to soup in about 20 minutes in the Pacific, but like...
Yeah, but you just say, like,
I just love...
I got my rations.
You just be there drinking it like that.
This ship is just like sinking, chaos, everyone's going off, and there's just a guy floating with his vest with just a little helmet of ice cream.
You could just see somebody with a helmet full of ice cream, like above the head, running across the carrier.
I bet that would be one of the most surreal moments when, you know, you're at war, you've just had a confrontation, your ship has been sunken, you're probably several hundred miles from the nearest island, and you're floating in the Pacific with a helmet full of ice cream, with a load of other men with helmets full of ice cream.
I like, hey Terry, you want some Neapolitan?
Yeah, just like, I reckon that must be one of the strangest moments that a human has found themselves in, where they probably just thought, like, this is what my life has led to.
I wish there was like actual pictures of that, because imagine just seeing that, it'd be hilarious. But I think
I'll have to see.
Yeah,
I might have a quick Google now.
Yeah, but
I want to see if I can find a picture of the ice cream plane, because it just sounds amazing.
Well,
Like, there's got to be something.
Yeah, well, I think with that cool story and that funny kind of light-hearted ending, I think we'll close off the podcast for today. I think we all agreed, didn't we, while we've got the quarantine period, try and do 2 a week. So are we thinking, was it Wednesday we'll do the next one?
Yeah, probably Wednesday.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll talk it out and we'll figure it out. But I think I've had fun with the first episode. So this episode will be going up onto YouTube again, like the others. And if anyone who has watched this or is watching this on YouTube has any questions for us or anything they'd like us to talk about and get maybe our opinions on, any comments in the YouTube or messages in Twitch chat, they would be looked at and we can potentially add them to our discussions going forward. But from me, it's a goodbye. You guys want to say goodbye?
See you later.
Bye!
Okay, so we'll see you guys at the next one. Goodbye.